Hello everybody and welcome back to the Squads for Noobs series. It's been a while since I've done one, and I figured 501st is a good target for it because there's General Skywalker bundles coming out, and a lot of people are going to be close to General Skywalker, might not know what to do. So what I do in this series, I talk about everything about the team from the ground up, abilities, Zeta mats, mods, turn order, things you want to figure out with the team, how to use them, decisions to make, as if you don't know anything about them. So hopefully this will help you out. Enjoy. And of course we have to start with the general himself, Anakin Skywalker. And I'm going to be looking at these abilities without their Zetas first, and I'll talk about their Zeta a little bit later. So with the lead, a couple overarching things: extra crit damage for 501st allies, and no units can be revived. This is very big, it's very useful. You don't have to have a full 501st team for it to be active, unlike a lot of clauses. Just if you have gasoline, no revives at all. So pretty powerful. And the rest of it, a lot of it is just determining the cover advance mechanic. That's where he sits down and stands up. While he is standing up, this is called advance. All other 501st allies can't fall below 100% health, so that's amazing. It's also a reason we might want to mod them for health, even though a lot of people mod everyone for protection. They can't fall below health, so as long as he's standing up, everyone can take as much of a beating as possible, and they're just going to stay at 100% health and probably no protection. Once he gets to 0 protection, he covers. He heals himself of everything, removes all status effects, removes, like, I think even armor shred, even like isolate, fracture, anything, and he sits down. And while he's in cover, he's basically a force ghost. He's not doing anything. He can't do anything. He's not protecting anyone. The only thing applicable really is, like, I guess his lead and his uniques. But he's going to be recovering protection each turn. If it's a 501st ally, he get 20% protection. If it's a non-501st ally, 10% protection. If your whole team, all 501st clones take turns, he's going to get up real fast. If it's the enemy team going in a row, it might be a while. And this is why he cannot stand up when you face Sith Eternal, because Sith Eternal siphons all his protection. He can't get back to full protection, and he can't take a turn. And also, when he's in advance, he is taunting, so even though he's attacker, he's acting like a tank. And that's mainly it for the lead. For his first unique, the Chosen One, this is what gives him an extra ability during his turn. For each of his specials, he does the other special that he has. For his basic, he'll either double basic if you don't have the Zeta, or he'll use this special telekinesis move if you do have the Zeta. This is what gives him cooldown increases for critical hits. And if he's critically hit, he dispels all debuffs on himself. And then this is an extremely valuable thing that makes him actually kind of plug and play. Enemies attacking out of turn can't critically hit. So no matter what team he's on, enemies attacking out of turn will not be able to critically hit anyone. That is a huge deal. And then his last unique, without the Zeta, he gains a lot of extra stats for each other 501st ally: 25% defense, 15% max protection, and 25% tenacity until they're all defeated. Once they're defeated, he can't, if all allies were 501st at the beginning of the battle. So if you have anyone in there not 501st, it ruins this clause. When they're all defeated, he gets up. He doesn't have these stat boosts anymore, but he can't be crit, and he's getting 35% turn meter after each enemy turn. So he's kind of a Superman in each mode. While everyone's alive, he's very defensive. While everyone's dead, he gets a little bit more initiative. It is a little bit more offensive, trying to seal the deal. And as far as his moves, we'll start with the basic because it is relatively the simplest. It's got extra defense penetration, 65% triple to fall allies are 501st, so that is a lot of defense penetration. It used to ignore defense, I think, which was insanely powerful. But if you don't have the Zeta, it's just a double basic. If you do have the Zeta, you will get telekinesis, and this is an automatic critical hit if they have armor shred, and if they're dazed, he's going to reduce all his cooldowns by 1, so that's a pretty powerful move. These two don't have Zetas, so you got the armor shred move and then the AoE daze move. You choose which one you want to use depending on circumstances. Whichever one you use, the other one will go after it. If you use armor shred first, this move will be a guaranteed critical hit. But if you use this move first and you do land the daze, then this is going to do double damage. So if you're trying to hone in on one target, I usually recommend starting with AoE. However, if there is I don't know. There's some circumstances with foresight you might want to change it around. And the second clause is just saying you'll use the other ability. But that's mainly it. It's Armor Shred and AoE Daze. And you decide which one you want to do. If you really need a crit, you might want to start with Armor Shred. Or if the enemy has a ton of armor, you might want to do that. But a lot of times you just want to double damage. But the risk here is you might not land the Daze, whereas Armor Shred is inherently irresistible. And I'll go over the rest of his Zetas when I'm talking about in Zeta order. Right here, I have them in an order that I think you should probably play them. Like Echo and Arc can be in the second and third slot. I think you want Rex in the fifth slot. I'm not exactly sure, full disclosure. But I think you want these two in the back. And then fives, there used to be some weird bug where you want them in the fifth slot. But anyways, it's not a big deal anymore. We'll talk about Rex next. You don't need we're not going to really talk about the leadership because we're talking about the gas team. But we'll start with his unique. So even without the Zeta, he's giving 4% speed to all 5 or first allies for each 5 or first ally present at the start of the battle. That is 20% speed in 5v5. In 3v3, it's 12%. That is awesome. And then we're not really going to use Ahsoka, so I'm not really talking about that. But he has 2 amazing moves that you're going to want to be judicious about using. So Form Up, this is a mass cleanse, turn meter, tenacity up. It's awesome. So if you have debuffs, you're going to get extra turn meter. It's at minimum 60% turn meter. So the main decision point you want to do with that you have to make with Rex is when to use Form Up. If you're in a battle where you don't think Gas is going to go down, he's not going to lose all his protection, you can just spam this right away. If you do think Gas is going to go down, you want to wait until he goes down. So it is Form Up, gets everyone turn meter, gets Gas back up on his feet as soon as possible. Aerial Advantage, this starts on cooldown, but it does massive, massive damage. People call it Rexalate because that's similar to Annihilate in that it's basically an insta-kill like Nihilus has. But it does bonus damage equal to 25% of the target's max health for each turn a clone trooper ally is taken during the encounter. So with a cooldown of 4, say everyone's taken 3 turns by that time. You got 4 clones, that's 12 turns, that's 300% of the target's max health. That's enough to kill pretty much anyone. It's not going to work on like Galactic Legends or anything, but it is a massive amount of damage. The basic removes turn meter unless it gets resisted, and then potency up to a random clone trooper. Not a big deal, but these 2 moves are very, very good. And next we got fives. Fives and Rex are pretty much of equal importance. They're the 2 most important characters on the team. That's why in 3v3, most of the time, the strongest comp you can make is Rex and fives. I'm holding off on talking about most of the Zetas until I'm talking about Zeta order, but this one is really, really important to his kit, and it's going to be probably your top priority. So what the Zeta actually adds is this paragraph. And what it does without the Zeta is he's going to sacrifice himself when another 501st Clone Trooper ally is about to die. If you don't have the Zeta, that's all that happens. He heals them, he dies instead of them. It's not that great. You really, really want the Zeta, and just spoiler, this is the top priority for the whole team. When he's defeated like this, if someone else dies before him, he sacrifices himself. He gives them all of his health, protection, speed, and offense. That is incredible. They are, if you have him really fast, you're gonna give them like close to 300 speed. It's just insane. They just get so much speed. They're zipping around, tons of health, tons of offense. Another argument to mod him for health, because when he dies, you want everyone to get health, because all the protection is going to be gone. His other unique, I'll look at it without the Zeta. Without the Zeta, it gives him counter chance, 85%, and then has special bonuses based on Echo. And this is not Bad Batch Echo. This is only 501st Echo. If he's present, Fives gets 100% defense while taunting, 100% more damage while not taunting. And a lot of people try to avoid the taunt. This ability, if you do have the Omega, some people intentionally do not give the Omega because it'll make them taunt. I think it is worth it. You just want to be judicious. If no one else is taunting, he's going to taunt, but otherwise it's just calling someone to attack. So most of the time I just call General Skywalker to attack with this and use it whenever it's available. If General Skywalker is sitting down, you want to wait to use this until he's close to be getting back up, because then Fives will be taunting, and then Gas gets up, the enemy has another target that cannot die, cannot fall below 100% health. I guess it could be annihilated. Or maybe it can't. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. But that's a great move. You want to save that and use it as you can. Then sometimes if gas is down, you might want to just be using the basic instead. If someone's going to come, they're going to hit hard and they're going to kill 5s. You might want to taunt. But this inflicts speed down. If they are at speed down, attack again. His damage isn't incredible, but it's decent. And like I said, when you want to avoid this move, say you're facing a Rey team and Rey's about to go, you've triggered the conditions for a Whirlwind, you don't want him to taunt because you don't want her to just take him out directly. You want her to take out someone else so he forces a sacrifice and gives out all the stats. Otherwise, you're not going to get those stat boosts. Fourth character we're talking about is Echo. His Zeta is low priority, spoiler, but his second unit without the Zeta gives that extra crit chance. It's nice. It's not like incredible, but it's nice. And then he has kind of the inverse of what 5s does. So he does 100% more damage while 5s is taunting, and then extra defense when 5s is not taunting. So if you want Echo to do more damage, 5s has to be taunting. Another reason to give that Omega on the 5 special, because you do want him in taunting once in a while. And then also we got Copy That. Whenever another 501st Clone Trooper or Clone Trooper ally uses a basic during their turn, Echo's going to assist. So it's kind of nice. Then whenever a Clone Trooper or another 501st ally critically hits an enemy, his next attack will be a critical hit. And that is important because he does not have great crit chance. He has physically, for me, 54%, but the base at R7, 41%. And then for special, it's a base 18%. That is abysmally low. And the crits are common. So another kind of cool thing about him, it's kind of rare in the game. He has a special damage move and a physical damage move. The AoE is special damage, dispels all buffs, so very useful. So you might want to hold back and save it for when there's a lot of buffs to dispel, or if everyone has foresight, you might not want to waste it. And if they're droids, it's going to stun them. The basic grants 15% turn meter to another random ally with less than 50% turn meter. Very specific, and does a little bit extra damage if you have crit damage up. And the running joke is, what is the point of this clause? Because there's no mechanism to get critical damage up to Echo naturally on the team. So it would have to be like a Datacron that comes out that gives him that or something. But naturally on a 501st team, that's not going to happen. Also, with the basic being physical damage and the special being special damage, let's look at what has more off. Which type has more offense for him. Physical offense for me, 7,400. Special offense, 11,000. So the more damage is the EMP grenade. So even if it's a single target, you're probably going to do more damage with the AoE. And then last, we got our Trooper. This guy came out specifically for the 501st team, which makes one particular clause kind of interesting. So without the Zeta, he has some counter chance, very small. But then he just summons a blaster turret at the start of the encounter, and when he revives, that's what I think is interesting, because 501st clones are on a General Skywalker team, there's no revive, so... But I guess you're playing for the edge case. The blaster turret is just kind of a granted ability. You don't really level it up, but it's just a turret that sits there and attacks whenever someone with command attacks. So he starts out with command, and with his special, he can give it to another 501st clone. So you basically pick who is going to take the most turns, which you might think is Rex, because he's the fastest, but a lot of times it's 5s, because if you have 5-second Zeta, because that gives him a lot of turn meter. So Rex or 5s is your choice there, and then the basic is mainly just a basic, but if the enemy had no buffs before the attack, it does extra damage. The turret, it's valuable for damage, because it does do true damage, and it also dispels buffs. So that's just a way to dispel buffs on a single target. You got a couple means to dispel it all. You got the turret, and then you got Echo doing his AoE to dispel. So those are the two ways. That is Arc, and that's everybody. Time to look at Zetas. Time to talk about Zetas. There's a lot of Zetas on this team. There's like 9, I guess. But there's a few you can skip. Like all these 3 you can kind of skip. Gas and 5s have the most important Zetas. We want to go with 5's tactical awareness first, 3 of gases, and then the next 5s, then gas, and then these 3. So that's just a real quick bird's eye view. Tactical awareness is first because we want to make sure we're passing on the stats when he sacrifices instead of him just dying for no reason. Next, we move over to General Skywalker. I think the most important one for him, and it's up for debate, I think it's Hero with No Fear. He's giving 100% counter chance to himself and crit chance. Mainly the counter chance is very important. That's going to be super valuable for him as a damage dealer. Next, we want Chosen One, his other unique. And this is the clause that allows for max health reduction. This is really useful. It used to be super useful against Galactic Legends. Part of the great nerf of 2021 was that this no longer affects Galactic Legends, but anyone that doesn't have any protection left, you're reducing their max health by 20% each hit. So, and he hits twice a turn, so it's reduced by 20%, reduced by another 20%. It's crazy. It stacks crazy fast. If you pay attention, you can even get people down to 1 health in circumstances like Conquest or like Night Sister Zombie if you're intentional about it. So it's pretty crazy. Next one, I think we want his lead. This is the clause: when an enemy gains above all 5 of first allies, gain 2% offense until the end of the encounter. This stacks their offense crazy high. The only reason I don't have it before the other two is because it's not always going to be an applicable thing. Like, you're not always facing a team that has tons of buffs. But when you are, it's super valuable, and this is what lets him beat a raid team in 5v5, and I am very fond of doing so when I get the chance. Next Zeta is 5's second Zeta. This is actually, it's his first special technically, but it's really useful. It's this clause right here with the turn meter. He gains 15% turn meter whenever a clone trooper or 5 of first ally takes damage, and half that amount for other allies. So he is gaining so much turn meter constantly, and that's why you want to give him the turn. So more turns, the better, especially if gas is already down. 5s is going to come in to save the day. And then the last Zeta we want is General Skywalker's basic. That makes you go from doing a double basic, he moves up hits again, to moves up and hits, and then throws an energy beam. The reason you might not want this Zeta right away is because only the first part, the normal basic, can't be evaded. So if you're facing someone with high evasion, telekinesis can miss. But it does, I think it does more damage, and then it will critically hit enemies with armor shred if able, and then if they're dazed, he's going to reduce his cooldowns by 1. So that is really valuable. Next, the ones that you can kind of pass on. Rex's. Other 5 of first allies reduce their cooldowns by 1 at the start of each of their turns. The reason I don't think this is quite as high of a priority is because it doesn't reduce Rex's cooldowns. If it did, he'd get to form up an aerial advantage faster, but it's just other allies, and a lot of times you're just passing on their special. Don't need it super fast. It is good. I would recommend it before the other two, but you can pass on it. And second to last, we got Ark's Zeta, and that just makes the turret assist when he attacks out of turn. So if he's countering or anything or called to assist, it'll attack too, which is nice. It's a little bit more damage, but that's really all it is. And then the last priority is Echoes. You can put this off for a long time, but whenever an enemy evades an attack from a clone trooper 5 or first ally, he deals damage equal to 20% of their max health, which can't be evaded. So if you're facing a team with a lot of foresight, this is pretty valuable, but it is pretty situational, and that's why it's therefore last on a team with 9 Zetas. And that is it for Zeta priority. And now to talk about relic priority. Pretty easy hierarchy in this one. I think General Skywalker. So if you just had the whole team available to you, none of them were relic. Obviously gas, like gas before anyone. I would say gas to at least R7 or R8, and then you can bring the others to 3, and then gas to, I think R8 is the natural stopping point for most people. I pulled the trigger on R9, but that is a luxury of having most stuff finished off. Second priority is 5s. 5s is by far the second highest relic priority and the highest among the clones. I think 7 is a good stopping point for him. R9, he could make use of it because he is a tank. He does have a ship, but he has the most stats, and he's the one that all his stats are going to be passed out to the rest of the team if he sacrifices. So that's why he is a huge priority. The lowest priority is Rex. The other two, I mean, after 5s, Echo and Arc, like, I don't find them a super high priority. Arc has to be R8 to get I forget if it's Lord Vader or JMK, but one of those. Otherwise, I think the others could be at 3 or 5. Like, honestly, I just think Relic 3 for these 3. For someone just getting the General Skywalker team now, I think that's fine. And I think you want 7 on 5s and 8 on General Skywalker. And that's it for Relic priority. Next segment we're covering is my mods, what I do, and then we're going to look at Swigga.gg's mods generally. So for General Skywalker, I have an offense set and a defense set. Lots of focus on protection, but I also have a crit damage triangle. And I do have extra speed. So he is just stuffed with stats. I'm actually kind of impressed with it myself looking at it, but he must have some good ones from me. But you're just trying to shove as much of that in there as you can. This is crit damage, all speed rolls, and almost 9% protection. Protection primary on everything else, even the arrow. Flat protection if you can, speed if you can. That's it. I won't belabor him anymore, but protection, offense, he wants everything. Next, Echo. Pretty simple damage. I mean, he is deprioritized for me, so not that important. I got the crit damage triangle, got a little bit of speed, I got more health focus than protection, and then some offense. Arc Trooper, same thing as Echo generally. You do want more health focus for him. He's pretty slow. Like I said, he's been deprioritized, and then offense. But for him, he does true damage with the turret, so I didn't go with the crit damage triangle. I went with an offense triangle. Then for 5s, he has crazy high protection, but he also has an interest in getting more health. Like I've been talking about, when General Skywalker is up, you can't fall below full health, but you can lose all your protection. So when you go down, if all you have is a high protection pool, he's more flimsy, more prone to go down. You also want defense sets. I only have 4 health sets, or I have 4 health sets, 2 defense sets. I think defense is the way to go, but the only reason I have more health sets and defense sets is because he doesn't pass on his defense. But for him surviving, if that's your main goal, defense sets are much better. Again, most people are piling it into protection, but I think there's an argument to not do that. And if you can squeeze in more offense for him, that's good, because he's going to pass that on. And then Rex, pretty much speed is the focus. I mean, health over protection, but speed, maybe. I gave him tenacity because I don't use too many tenacity mods, and these particular 2 were really fast, 28, 27. So I didn't want to waste them, gave them to Rex. But you can get away with him being not that fast. I have him faster than you need him to be, 171. And that is my mods. But don't take my word for it. Let's look at what the top 1,000 players in Kyber have to say. But the most common thing is offense and defense for sets. And looks like protection is the winner for every primary. These are used by 34%. Another 30% use offense but health instead. And so you see most people are using offense for him because that is stacking over time with his lead, and he is a great damage dealer. It's like a 2/3, 1/3 thing with protection and crit damage. I chose for crit damage because there have been situations where I just want the more damage. And I got a great triangle for him. Protection, dominant winner here. Don't go with anything else. Same thing with this circuit, 98-2. You do not see many splits like that. 98% protection. Just do the protection. And arrow, some people are using speed, but protection, protection, protection. And then Rex, I feel like we're going to have a lot of a split. A lot of people are doing health, which I think that if you have that primary choice, go for it. But speed and health is used by 62%. And the reason for that isn't necessarily that health is such a dominant need for him. It's just that people have more health mods than like any other mods, so the chance that they have fast health mods, I think, is higher than anything else. But you want speed. That's the common denominator in all of it. You want a speed set and then something else. 15% of people don't care that they don't have a second full set. They're just going for speed. It's kind of split. Like I said, it's not super important. Health is the winner here, but the rest of them are in double digits for the triangle. So same with the cross. Potency, not really anyone's priority. The only thing that he gets from potency is potentially removing some turn meter. But you just want to get what has the most speed. And then the circle's pretty split, and then the arrow dominant for speed. 5s. This is where it's going to be a lot different here than what I actually went for. So to make him harder to kill, the best thing is this. All defense sets, all protection primaries. That is the hardest to kill combo. But like I said, if he sacrifices, you're not like everyone's lost in protection. They're not going to be able to recover it. You can recover health through health steal, and you don't pass on defense. So I do see the merit of defense. It's just I've shared my reasoning. That is dominant. Health or protection, protection, protection. Some people are using speed because it does pass on his speed, but for the most part, you want protection. Or if you think you're going to face people where you're going to trigger sacrifice, you want health. Arc, offense. People are even using offense on the triangle over crit damage, and that's because the turret's true damage. 41% use offense and health, and then another 39% combined are using offense and crit chance or offense and nothing. It's just damage. He's pretty generic. You want damage character, and you want speed on him. I think there's actually a decent argument for offense, but it is easier to get speed because you need slice. Like an offense primary without being sliced is taking a greater hit than a speed arrow that's not sliced. You know what I mean? And then Echo, just pretty much damage. Potency too, but I mean, that's just for stunning droids, so I don't care too much about it. I think people just don't care about his mods, honestly, because look at these splits, 20%, 70%, 16%. You want something damage related, but he's kind of low on the totem pole in terms of like what priority mods you get. 68% speed, some offense. People don't care what the circle is. And then for the cross, it's offense and potency. I'm surprised how many people are going for potency. But anyway, that is the Swigga.gg mods for the whole team. Now we're going to talk about counters, and we are not looking at Galactic Legend counters. Most Galactic Legends can manhandle General Skywalker, but this is a series for noobs, so we're not really talking about every Galactic Legend. We're talking about more bargain attainable counters. And also, I haven't talked about Captain Rex in this video. I know he's good with gas, but this is a Squad for Noobs video, and most players that would benefit from a video like this need to use their Phoenix. They don't have the luxury or the need to split up, to tear up the whole Phoenix squad and put Crex on this team. That is more of a high-end Kyber 1 thing where the board is so small that you don't get to use every team, and Phoenix might not make the cut, and then you throw Captain Rex in there. But in general, a lot of players that are going to be using this are going to be using normal 501st. And for normal 501st, the most common counters are Palpatine Starkiller and CLS. Mirrors are also, it's actually a pretty painless mirror if you have it, but the big thing, CLS and Starkiller. Now these are just results from the latest season of 5v5 in Kyber 1, or maybe it's just Kyber generally. So it is, it's skewed here and there by datacrons. I don't think there was a huge bonus affecting the gas team specifically, like there wasn't a factional bonus. There's just the protection up in this particular season where everyone's getting a lot of protection up, but nothing's like 100% that's not Galactic Legend, or maybe not nothing, but like these standard teams, 80%, it's pretty good. You're not necessarily gonna win, but it's a pretty good bet. Even Riva isn't that high, 70%. Teams like Malicos, not very attainable for a mid-game or early-game player, but those start to win more. Trey has trouble. Maul even has some trouble. So that's going to be a one-off because that's like a special datacron. But I'm going to recommend CLS and Starkiller. For Starkiller, you just really want to get the shock out on everyone, prevent them getting turn meter, and then you can take down General Skywalker. Hopefully get all the clones out before he stands up, and then have the Star Destroyer ready if he comes up to heal everybody and just take him out. For CLS, there's a couple approaches. I think there's the go gung-ho on gas first. Just shoot him, try to get him down as fast as you can. Or there's the stun Rex approach, or the stun 5s approach, because 5s does get all the turn meter, so you might not want him to take a turn. If you have a really high-powered CLS team, I think going for gas is probably a good idea, but I'm not an expert on it, so look up specific videos on that if you have an idea. And people like the GAR section Imperial Super Commando. I don't think it's that great. I haven't tried it yet, but yeah. So those are the two main counters. General Skywalker mirror is pretty easy, just because it's not like a race to go first, and just I don't know. You just got to be judicious. Try to pull your punches until he's sitting down. Take out 5s first, and then move on to the others, where you win a lot because the AI is stupid and they don't go for 5s first. They go for someone else. 5 sacrifices, and then you're off to the races. So that is counters. And who do they beat? Again, this data is going to be a little bit skewed here and there by the Datacrons of the day from this season. But he's really good against any team that relies on revives. So Night Sisters is pretty much a slam dunk. He's dispelling him from himself all the time, and the whole team is immune from dots. So pretty good against Tuskens. Trench pretty good, also partly because of the revives. It's a popular choice to try and use him against a Malgus team. I don't like that. It's really risky. General Grievous without stat, pretty easy. Harass team. Teams with a lot of buffs, teams that rely on getting out quick and having an uninterrupted turn meter train. Like Phoenix are going to get shut down because 5s is going to get in turn meter, and then he's going to call gas to attack and mess up cooldowns. Rex is going to dispel all that daze. So most things you're going to take out with General Skywalker that's not a Galactic Legend and isn't like a supercharged team. Has trouble with Traya, supercharged team. Has trouble with... people said he was really good against Gungans, but it's not necessarily that safe. Again, the mirror is not that hard. Even if they have Captain Rex, apparently, you can still win the mirror. He's going to have trouble with Malicos, supercharged team. And then we see a lot of variants of Dash, because Dash, when he has his Omicron, if you have like Vander, he's relying on revive. So a lot of different uses for the team. I think even if you like face a CLS, it's going to be a decent chance of winning. 63%. Some wins. Hard to say. So he's not the best against CLS. But yeah, so as long as it's not a Galactic Legend, and if it is a Galactic Legend, actually, Rey is a team I always love to try and pick on if I can in like TW or something, because if you lose in TW, it sounds terrible, but if we're winning, if we're absolutely dominating a team or we're absolutely going to get crushed, it's not that impactful to lose one match potentially. I'm like 70% on it. Facing Rey, the key is to not use Rex's form up until gas goes down, and then try to build up all your damage from buffs. Pick a Rey that's going to get a lot of buffs, like if they have Baby Cal, so unaligned Force User Cal, or Swordy on the team, they get a lot of buffs constantly. It's going to juice up the team until they're doing hundreds of thousands of damage. And that is uses for General Skywalker. Now it's time for a quick demo. I can't always just conjure up the perfect type of battle to talk through, but I usually use Galactic Challenges as an example. For this one, there is an interesting part to it that does lend itself to this demonstration. So this Imperial Trooper bonus is allowing them to revive at least once, but General Skywalker shuts that down. So this is usually a pretty challenging team in a Galactic Challenge, but with shutting down the revives, we're not scared of that at all. I'm going to talk through what I'm going to do and what I would do in a different situation. So Rex is the first one to go. He's the fastest one on our team, and you got to decide, depending on the battle you're in, do you want to use form up or not? If you're facing Rey, or usually just Rey is the only one I can think of, you want to pass and use the basic, but I don't think he's going to go down, so I'm going to give the turn meter out to the whole team. And then with Arc, his first turn, I'm going to pass out the turret. Otherwise, I do like to use basic because Echo's going to assist, and it might be even more damage. So you're going to pass this out first to someone. I like 5s because whenever anyone gets hit, he gets turn meter, makes him a little bit faster than Rex, and I leave it on him. Here, Gas isn't standing down, he's taunting, so we're not going to taunt from this. I'll just use the ability and call Gas because that's going to lead to the most damage. And here you also make a choice. If you want to save this for buff dispel, you want to save it. Otherwise, if you don't care, you just pull it. I think they might get some buffs, so I'm going to start with a basic. We get all these counterattacks. And here, another choice to make. Do you start with Armor Shred or the Daze? I would rather go for Daze and double damage. We landed it, so we got double damage there. We got a little bit of buff, so I'm going to basic on him with the buff, dispel it, get rid of it. And then no choices there, just got basic available. And we got to another 5 special already. And also, since we have all these dots and we're taking a lot of turns, so normally this would be bad for a team, but you cannot lose your health while General Skywalker is standing. And also pay attention to the health bar here. It might seem like he's healing. So at the moment you start an attack, it decreases our max health. So look, okay, it went up there and went up again because it wasn't healing them. It was actually just reducing their max health pool. And let's just move on in order of threats. See, we're taking damage. We're not falling under health because we are just immune to that type of thing. Very valuable. And this is another reason why I like to mod for health. Because at this point, if gas did sit down, I would be left with, even if I had a lot of protection, this would be eating away at it, or any other type of damage you might face. If you got AoEs, just people getting around taunts, you'd be out of protection, and then gas would sit down, and you'd be more vulnerable with a weak health pool. So that's pretty much it for this one. I hope this hope this helps you. Hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoy General Skywalker. If you don't have him, once you get him, it's a great team. All right, thanks for watching, guys. See you later.